Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. Hello and welcome to Reclaim Your Life. Today's guest is Samantha Louise. Samantha is a leadership cultivator, guiding girls and young women to become natural-born leaders. She is an author, a Minnesota Teacher of the Year, and holds a master's degree in educational leadership. Her approach to leadership and learning offers hands-on experiences to develop selfhood for self-leadership, sisterhood for healthy relationships, and leaderhood to inspire change in the world around us. Welcome, Samantha. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and I look forward to seeing what comes out of our conversation.
Yes. So please share with us, who is Samantha?
Yeah, my background, I grew up on a farm in the Midwest, in Minnesota specifically, and I think it was in high school, I started to recognize that things in my world, my inner world, weren't necessarily aligning with the world around me, right? Who I wanted to be wasn't who I was always showing up to be. And into young adulthood, I started to realize that I really wasn't always living life for myself. I was taking on the culture of farm life, what was expected of a woman, a girl from a farm, what was expected of a girl or a woman from a small town. And that was often conflicting inside of me. So I had to learn how to rewrite a lot of those rules for myself and reclaim my own life, my own passions, and my own creativity, and let go of some of the masks and personas that I was living with for quite a few years. And the darkness I had to go through, some of the pain I experienced, led me to amazing new friendships, amazing new joys, and just beautiful peak moments in my life just recently, since I've really, really committed back to myself. So from that, I wanted to start helping girls learn how to do that, and other young women who were experiencing what I had grown up with.
Yeah. What was that trigger point that set you off to pursue this path?
I think when I was teaching, I was accelerating through my career very, very quickly. But there was a moment when I was teaching, I was doing all the things that I had been trained to do in college, and I was successful and making a lot of achievements and stuff. But I remember coming home one night and I just fell into a chair, and I looked at my husband and I said, I don't like who I am. And I don't like life right now where I'm working myself to death. I work more hours than I do anything else in the world. And at the end of the day, I don't feel valued. And therefore, I keep trying to perform and hyperachieve more and more and more, trying and hoping that other people eventually will value what I'm bringing to the world. But I started to see very superficial relationships in my life. And in order to fit in, what I had to do with my time, it wasn't stuff that I wanted to be doing. And it was making me unhealthy and sick in every single aspect of who I really was. So I was just a couple of years out of college, and I had been experiencing these red flag moments where inside of me, my intuition was saying, not this isn't for me. But I kept going and pushing that voice down, saying, no, this is what I have to do to be successful, to be good, to be worth something in our society. And it was only a couple of years later that I couldn't do it anymore. I refused to do it anymore. I could have kept going, but it was killing me. That's how I felt. Like it was killing me.
Yeah.
And crushing me.
Good job for listening to your inner voice.
Thank you.
And finally, letting that kind of rule out everything that was outside, the external noise.
Yeah. And it's hard. I think that's been the heat hearing it is one thing, and then heeding it is another. So to hear that voice is, I think the voice is always there. It's just a matter of whether or not we want to accept it and respect it. Respect that that voice has any wisdom or might know us in any way, shape, or form.
Totally. What makes you happy?
Oh man, nature. I think nature and books and really good music.
Mm-hmm.
Those things make me happy. And I think when I meet a person where words don't have to be exchanged, there's just a sense of knowing that we're on the same kind of a journey. There's compassion and understanding regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love those moments where it's the serendipity, I think is what I would call that.
Yeah. What makes you smile?
Oh, what makes me smile is nothingness. Is that weird? The joy of quiet.
Okay.
Yeah, the joy of just being content and peaceful. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good enough.
Yes.
What makes your heart sing?
What makes my heart sing is definitely seeing people that are enjoying life for life. It's not, they're not happy or pleased by external factors, but it's the sparkle in the eyes or the kind of laugh that comes out of them from the belly that says everything is okay. I have joy in my life and I love life and I love myself. So whether it's children or adults, that's what makes my heart sing, is seeing other people that realize there's more. There's more than just the external and superficial factors of happiness. There's a real joy deep inside of us.
Yeah, I like to say how electric plant generates electricity. We can generate happiness from within.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Wait for external stuff. We
Yeah.
can have it all inside already.
Yeah.
What makes you sad or angry?
I think I see a lot of people that are well-intended, but that end up manipulating other people. They haven't learned to slow down and listen very well. So when I see belief systems or belief systems or a template for what a happy life should look like being pushed or forced on someone else, that makes me sad or angry, depending on how extreme it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's good, to recognize, what works for you might not work for me, and we don't have to push our view on someone else.
Yes. Yes.
What scares you?
What scares me is doubts that come up inside of me, right? Going back to that inner voice, when I hear the calling or I know that I'm on the right path, but sometimes I can't see what's next and the doubts overcome me, that scares me because I know that I'm going the right direction in life. I know I'm doing something, but if I can't see exactly the outcome that's coming next, sometimes the doubts overcome me. And the fear feels just all consuming.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm doing everything wrong. And all of this work is for nothing.
Sometimes it's taking that next step and then seeing the next step, but not knowing before you make that step.
Yeah.
The whole journey or the whole road. So taking it one step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is your number one personal superpower?
Listening.
Oh, I think we agree on that one.
Yes. I think my whole life I've been quieter. I've been more internal and introspective. And I feel like I have this ability to see and hear things that other people can't, because I spend a lot of time listening to the patterns and listening to someone might say something, but they're saying something louder with what they don't say.
Like read between the lines.
Exactly. Yeah. Then I say, well, this is the meaning or significance I picked up on and in reflection. And someone else might say, but they didn't say it out loud. I'm like, no, that's exactly right. Because it's too scary to say some of these things out loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What was your very first trip?
My very first trip was I was really little, but my family used to go to Florida every year independently. My first trip ever was to Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands.
Oh, wow.
And because it was without family, it was definitely the first pivotal moment in experiencing the world beyond that kind of sheltered or protected space.
What was your favorite memory of that trip?
I think it was right when we got to Ecuador. It was me and a couple of friends and one of my coaches from high school.
Oh.
And we had a trip. Well, there was an itinerary, right? We were traveling independently, but we had a plan set for the trip. And we went from the mainland out to the islands. And within the first 24 hours, everything we had planned went wrong. And we ended up on this little tiny boat going around the Galapagos Islands for a week that we didn't think we were supposed to be on. Nobody else spoke English, but we got on it. And we just went for a journey, went for an adventure. And it was just this really magical, a really magical moment of, all right, go with the flow. This is not what we planned, but we're going to trust the people that are taking us, because what other choice do we have at the moment? We could make this a horrible, awful experience. Yeah. And it ended up being, to this day, probably one of the best trips I've ever been on. One of the best experiences I've ever had.
Something unplanned and like figuring out as you go.
Yes. Every turn there was something new. How do we solve this problem? Or do we just let it be? It's not a problem, right?
I think this is life.
Yes.
As a change comes along, or something unexpected comes along, how do you navigate? And what do you do next? Yeah. Without having any guidance or just listening to your inner voice. What was your dream, or what did you want to be when you were growing up?
When I was little, first I wanted to be a pastor, and then I wanted to be a veterinarian. I think because I grew up in like a really small rural community, but ironically, there were a lot of women that were in leadership roles in my life. So I had a female pastor, we had a female veterinarian, and I just thought those would be two of the coolest jobs I could possibly have. So originally, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to heal animals or help people. I think when I was a little kid, it was mostly about like learning how to pray and learning how to sing music together. Yeah, I think that's what the inspiration was. It just felt right.
Yeah. Did you like school growing up?
Yes, I loved school. I was like super, super, just whatever the heck we were learning, I dove into it wholeheartedly. So whether it was academics, arts, athletics, the whole concept of school, I absolutely loved.
Did you have a favorite subject, or everything was kind of favorite?
I liked English and literature and writing. That was absolutely my favorite from preschool through college. And even today when I'm in different kinds of coursework, any kind of writing that comes up, that's my favorite.
Yeah, writing is good. It gets you express your thoughts and putting things on paper, and then like, wow. Was there anything you didn't like? Was there some subject that you didn't like in school?
Eventually, when I got into high school, I did not like mathematics. I think the experience felt like super overwhelming. And like, if I didn't grasp it immediately, like I did almost every other subject. I just wrote it off as I was stupid and I couldn't figure it out. Therefore, there was no hope. So it's like this very, very extreme. I was either really, really good or I just don't want to even tackle it. Kind of an interesting learning experience when I reflect back on it.
Like there is no gray area. It's either black
Exactly.
or white.
Exactly.
Nothing in between.
That's that. I guess that's how I interpreted it. Yes.
Right. Where is your, like, where you are on your path so far, would you say?
I think for the last 6 years or so, since that moment when I was teaching and I said, I don't want this anymore, I think from that point until now, I have been exploring all of these different methods of delivering what it is that I want to do in the world, and all of the different people that I can communicate with and collaborate with or not collaborate with, all those lessons learned along the way. Right now, I feel like I'm on the precipice of finally feeling like I'm free, I'm independent, I'm flying, and truly, truly aligned with what I'm called to be doing in the world. So there's been a lot of that productive struggle, as people call it, in the last few years, and going through the dark night of the soul and those moments of realization that in order to let go of the past, it does not always feel good. And even though it feels complex, it can be simple to get through it, but it's not always easy work to do. The consistency and discipline is amazing. The results that come out of it.
Yes, totally. How did you change your life to change your story?
I had to do lots and lots of going back to this writing theme, rewriting the scripts that were in my head, rewriting the cultural rules that I let kind of dictate my path, and even little cultural phrases that I had to let go of. Things like hard work, nothing, you can't have joy in life without hard work. And just that concept of like the hard farmer mentality. If you're not tough, then right, then you're not good enough, stuff like that. And I think also learning how much the internal stories that we have inform what our body does, right? And learning some of not only the spirituality of that connection, but also the science behind it. For me, that's where I love to geek out on the intersections of all of that stuff. So if we have a spiritual practice, some people don't want to know scientifically what's happening, but for me, like if I'm going to do this work on myself, how do I explain what's going on? It's just how I'm wired, and I love it.
Yeah, and I think you get more kind of buy-in from other people who take science as a kind of as a base for anything that wouldn't want to listen otherwise.
Right. Need the evidence first.
Yes.
Some people, yeah, absolutely. I get it.
What are some of the causes you're most passionate about?
I think I have not said this until recently in my life, but I think if there could be like a revival of the feminist movement, right? So I don't like the anger and the resentment and justice as a sense of revenge. But I think if we could look at feminism from just the essence of what girls and women are born to do and born to be, and not that we have to be confined to gender roles and all that stuff, right? It's a whole recontextualizing of the essence of femininity or female, and exploring what equity looks like, what justice looks like I said, and what like access to resources that we need, access to freedom that girls and women should have in life that they don't a lot of times. So that's the big thing for me right now. And at the same time, learning how men are going through the same things. So justice for boys and men to be allowed to be themselves, as well as justice for girls and women to have that same experience.
Yeah, I love it. What is the number one advice you could give to your 18-year-old self?
It would definitely be to when I go inward, to stay there, right? Go inward and hear that voice and get back in touch with myself, and to let that guide me rather than feeling like I have to hide it. So go inward and then show that to the world.
Yeah.
Go inward and hold on to it and stay true to it. I guess that would be it. Stay true to that inner voice. You're not crazy.
I think it's great advice.
Yes.
What is the smallest thing you have done that had the biggest impact on your life?
I think it sounds funny, but learning how to breathe.
Okay.
Right? Like learning how to just let my body be at peace, to inhale and exhale, and all of the symbols, all of the symbols and the meaning behind breathing, harmony and balance and understanding and creation and letting go. So I think the very beginning of my spiritual journey was in high school when I first went to a yoga class, and learning that I did not breathe right. And why didn't I breathe right? Because of all these things in my head about, like, you have to sit up and you have to look a certain way and your stomach doesn't look good enough and blah, 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 all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that would be the smallest, simplest thing, was exploring how to breathe.
Yeah, there is a whole science behind it, and the breathing schools and all that. And there is like Wim Hof method that he teaches. So totally. What are 3 biggest lessons you experienced since your wake up call in quotes, like when you changed your life?
One of them is definitely the reminder or the epiphany that my whole life, the skills or the strengths that I've had, they really are strengths. They aren't craziness. They are valuable. They don't need to be hidden. So I'd say my strengths are values. That would be the first one. The second kind of epiphany that I had definitely had to do with relationships and letting go of friendships, letting go of family-based relationships where it feels like there's an obligation, and creating distance between myself and people that drain my energy or people that used me, and to let go of that. And I think the third one has to do with forgiveness. I think this is going to be a really tough one. I mean, it's an epiphany that I've had, but I continue to go deeper and deeper into especially self-forgiveness, and letting go of anger, irritation, overwhelm, frustration, those really active, negative emotions that surface.
Yeah.
Because, right, I think for humans, it's just natural when you feel hurt to hold on to those. And they wreak havoc on our mind and body and everything around us. So that's my third one. And for me, that's definitely one of the hardest.
Yeah, forgiveness is important, and we often hold on to our pains for longer than necessary, and for our grudges. I think forgiveness should be practiced on a daily basis. As part of your practice, like we brush our teeth, and to have clarity of mind, that like we can easily kind of keep on going, keep on moving forward, because all of those grudges, they add up. And then imagine, if we had to hold a can or a brick for a minute.
Yeah.
It's okay, but what about like 30 minutes or even a day? Same brick, but suddenly now it's so heavy. So this is our grudges and our things, and when we don't release those things, then they affect negatively our body, and it can manifest in a disease when we don't let go. Or we can even change a temperament. We'll be like also angry all the time because we're holding on to this stuff that no longer is serving us. So
exactly.
I love your lessons. I think they are very important. And yeah. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to share?
I think the only other thing that's coming up for me right now is about being quiet in life, like creating spaces physically, like in a physical environment where you can be in a quiet space more often, but also that inner quietude. And I think I have people assume a lot of times that because I am on my spiritual path, that life must be quite peaceful and quite enjoyable and quiet and perfect. And I think that's the word. That would be my I guess my last thing is talking about perfection. And I recently had a conversation about perfection for me is that inner state of quietude. Right? So I'm not trying to be perfect anymore, but I have this sense of everything is good, everything is perfect in the world when I achieve quietude. And that just because we're on our journey per se doesn't mean that things are peaceful and wonderful 24/7.
Yes.
And to be okay with that, to be patient and get through it. Yeah.
There is no such thing as perfect. It's I don't know, in marketing world they call about, create the most I call it good enough product and then release it. And in life also, we oftentimes we wait before we do something for everything to be perfect, for the proper environment and the people and the way you feel and all that stuff. And you're not moving forward because you're waiting for perfection, and you improve on the way.
Exactly.
If people would like to find you and learn more about you, where would they go?
My website would be the best place, and it is samanthalouise.co. Yes.
All right. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story and coming on.